Hey, Pine Tree here. I picked a color that would, I think, contrast with my intro. So, yeah, I hope y'all enjoy my original channel intro, and then we'll get into the video. Alright, so something that was not in my 2025 bingo card was a relatively well-spoken, educated... So, I'm just popping in here to say, editing Pine Hue, by the way, popping in here to say that, obviously, educational status has nothing to do with how informed you are on minorities. Someone can be very well informed on a variety of subjects and not know anything. I mean, heck, we all know about J.K. Rowling. She's a pretty good writer. I mean, obviously, that's, people have debates on that. She's extremely transphobic, obviously. Obviously, I don't think that Steve Judge Astrology is to the level of J.K. Rowling at all. This is the first time I looked at the top comments on his video, and I saw a couple other people saying, alright, you had me until you started saying woke. And even one person who was like, I'm really not that woke, and honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with, people being on disability, or, national healthcare being a thing. Which is weird, because there is a video where he says he's grateful for national healthcare stuff. But anyway. So, that's a little weird. But anyway. Person who says ableist shit. I mean, I'm somewhat surprised, but also then I thought about the fact his age, and then I'm not surprised. And I know this is gonna be kind of ageist to say, but a lot of older people don't know crap about, disability, physical health, mental health stuff. They don't know anything about it. But they're always the first to run their mouths about how, younger people don't want to work, they don't want to do this, they don't want that, blah, blah, blah. Again, with a thought, I know that a lot of people, in past generations did not have as much exposure to disabled people as, previous, as current day. There wasn't the internet, stuff like that. But that's not really an excuse. It's really not. At all. Educating yourselves is a good idea. And to be fair, this isn't just aimed at the YouTuber in question. This thought is particularly just aimed at people in general. Educate yourself. Please and thank you. And I mean, heck, that doesn't even just affect disabled people. There's plenty of able-bodied people that, they want to work. But they can't find a job that pays them well enough to be able to work. It's kind of sad when you live in a country, and apparently this is both the US and UK issue, because the person saying this is from the UK. I'm from the US. When we talk about disability, I don't know how it works in the UK. I've heard it works similar to the US. But the US, the government keeps you fucking poor if you end up having to rely on disability, because jobs won't hire you or keep you or give you reasonable hours because you're disabled. This is all stuff that I'm guessing based on these comments that this person doesn't know. I don't know. Maybe he does know and he doesn't care. I don't know. But the thing that pisses me off so much about this is, not so much that I think everyone has to agree with me on politics. I don't think that everyone needs to agree on things like taxes or whatever. But when it comes to human rights, I feel like everyone should agree that human rights are fucking important. So, I will say that I think any spiritual practice, if anyone is using that to be dehumanizing to other people, which I will say, if you think that you're saying things like, oh, people don't want to work and they're on, what do you call it, like sick benefits, which I'm pretty sure that's not what that's called, but okay. I'm pretty sure in the UK they call it disability benefits. I could be wrong. I know in the US you have Social Security income and then you have Social Security disability. They're like different things. But point being that those are very important things for disabled people. And unfortunately, they don't pay enough for the people that have to rely on them. Fortunately, I have managed to avoid having to rely on them like the plague, but not everyone is that fortunate. So yeah, I do not appreciate a spiritual practice that has been important to me for years being used in this way. I will say that this is a YouTuber I've watched for a long time, and there's probably going to be some people that are like, oh, you're just talking about this because you're disappointed that your favorite YouTuber didn't, I don't know, do something or something. Or did something you didn't like. And it's like, you know what? No, I used to watch Creepshow. I used to watch Illuminati. There isn't really anything that a YouTuber can do that genuinely disappoints me anymore. Then there's also the fact that, like, I have a 2-year degree in communications. I like doing the talking thing, the media thing, that kind of thing. So I don't tend to idealize. Like, there's a thing where, like, if you have the same skills as other people, you tend not to idealize those people as much as other people with, like, who do that don't have those same skills. Like, humans tend to, like, look up to or think, oh, wow, that person's so cool. If they, as I was saying, I had to cut the audio, people tend to idealize those that have different skills than them. So, like, a lot of people look up to celebrities. I mean, some people look up to celebrities because they're, like, rich and stuff, but a lot of people will even look up to YouTubers who maybe, like, aren't necessarily, like, crazy rich, because it's like, oh, they make these cool videos, and I could never. I can make videos, so I'm not as inclined to be like, ooh. That doesn't mean that I don't have poor judgment. Like I said, I used to watch Creepshow Out, and I used to watch Illuminati, so clearly, so, and then there's also the fact that I used to be a Christian conspiracy theorist, kind of. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But, back in the day, when I first started getting into astrology, I watched a lot of Alyssa Sharp, Steve Judge Astrology, and Canary Quill Astrology, and there are things, especially on, like, Alyssa Sharp's channel, that I don't fully vibe with personally, but I've never made a video about it because I don't necessarily see them as harmful, or I don't know, like, enough about it to know whether it is or not, as far as, like, closed practices and things. But, you know, the point is, I can disagree with people that I use as sources for stuff. Heck, I read a astrology book by Joan Quigley, who is Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan's astrologer, and I didn't agree with a lot of her takes. I thought they were kind of way too, I don't know. Some of it is also just that it was a book from the 70s, so, you know, it's a bit dated. But with that being said, this has to do specifically with his statements. I'm not going to put the clips in the video because I really don't feel like getting copyright stricken again. For context, a completely different YouTuber copyright struck my channel a while back, twice. So, yeah, I'm trying to avoid that like the plague right now, but also this is important to me, so I don't want to like not talk about it. So I will put the videos with the timestamps in the description that I'm referencing. In the first video I'm going to reference is obviously the video that is the main meat and potatoes of this, where it's the first 2 minutes of the video, 2 minutes into the video. He basically says, and I'm paraphrasing here, that in his opinion, which, I mean, he thinks it's a fact, but no, it isn't in fact an opinion, that when Saturn transited, I don't know if that's actually grammatically correct to say, but anyway, transited through Pisces, that you got a lot of people who are woke and just want to complain and all this shit. That's where he also brought up the whole like sick benefits thing and the people not wanting to work and the something about free medication. I'm in America, so free medication sounds like crazy impossible here. But anyway, not sure if that's like a thing the NHS does or not. Or if that's a thing people are like petitioning for. I don't know enough about UK politics. I just know enough to have heard the sentence and went, no, let's not. Like, if you want to have those political views on your own, that's fine. But don't, let's keep astrology out of this because fuck no. No. And, I am actually going to look up when was, Saturn transiting through Pisces because I'm curious. Because sometimes, some people, not everyone, we're not going to do the everyone fits every trait of every sign here, because fuck no. I think that's probably something that me and Steve Judd Astrology would agree on, that obviously not everyone fits every trait of every sign. But like, if we're talking about like transits and like society changes and whatnot, I mean, I do think we did see a lot of exposing of like escapism and things that people do, like escapism through consumerism. I'm guilty of that for sure. Escapism through other means, or just wanting things to be good and ignoring the bad and repressing your feelings and all this shit. But and also a lot of calling out of religious institutions, which is fan-freaking-tastic. I appreciate that seems to have become more of it. I mean, it's always been a thing, but I don't know. Like, I never thought I'd see the day when people were, like, who were former NIFB people being like, actually, the NIFB sucks. I don't know why, I just never thought I'd see that. Like, obviously, people leave cults all the time, that's not that weird, but at the same time, okay, I'm getting kind of off topic here with that, but the point is, his inherently negative and, in my opinion, ableist interpretation is not the only way to interpret that transit, and it is not a fact. It is far from a fact. Like I said, I do plan on, looking into this a bit more, but anyway, back to the original video. And everyone should be able to agree that certain things are human rights. It's interesting because, and I will link both videos, it's weird hearing this person say this now when just a few years ago, and I know people can change their opinions. I did just look this other video up, I was able to find it, and it's a 3-minute and 21-second video, I do believe, and it's like at 3 minutes that he says the thing that I was remembering about the thank you for the UK, or I am grateful for the UK healthcare system. I just point that out as like evidence that like this is new. That's kind of why I'm being kind of chill, especially in my like editing comments that aren't like my initial reaction. I'm being a lot more chill and charitable than I am to other people because this is just fucking weird. But I also feel like this is a good time to bring up that there is no place for ableism in astrology. I'm just going to say that right now. No. Just like there is no place for ableism in any other spiritual practice or faith path or whatever, there is no place for ableism in astrology, whether intended or not. And all that. He said that he was grateful that he lived in a country with free healthcare. So it's kind of weird that someone who would say that in a video, I gotta figure out how to do the timestamp thing, because unfortunately I can't do the thing where I edit the clips in, because I have 2 fucking copyright strikes on my channel. I do not need a third. So I will have to do the thing where I link the videos in the description with the timestamp, because yeah. So anyway, point being, like, that's... So, if you can't tell, because I was kind of vague there, like, how do I put this? It comes across a bit like rules for thee, but not for me, or like, I don't know, like I said, it's, at the time, I didn't realize it was an 11-year-old video. I thought it was, a more recent video, but it's still weird. Like, you know, I've had a few hours to think on this since making the initial recording, and I'm not as pissed off about it, but I still think it's odd. I'm willing to be, like, benefit of the doubt here that maybe it wasn't intentionally meant to be ableist, but at the end of the day, intent doesn't matter when you're causing harm to minority groups. So, yeah, because I would argue that saying free healthcare and disability funding for, like, people who aren't able to work is not a good thing. And I'm sure that he's, and like other people, I don't know, I am sure someone is going to be in my comments being like, no, they're not talking about the real disabled people. They're talking about the fake disabled people. And I'm going to be honest, that's just a right-wing talking point. That's just a way to get all of us disabled people to fight amongst ourselves instead of working together. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm perfectly willing to argue with both people I agree with on most things and people I disagree with on everything. I'm perfectly willing to do that. But, I mean, there's a difference between that and, like, you know, I don't know, like, I just feel like it's a distraction. I mean, it's a distraction that I have definitely fed into, or, you know, played a part in, but I also feel like it has real-world it's a distraction that has real-world consequences. Like, disabled people saying that other disabled people are faking with no evidence has real-world consequences. Non-disabled people saying disabled people are faking has a heck of a lot more real-world consequences. I mean, both do, but obviously people are going to listen to the non-disabled people over the disabled people, generally speaking. So, yeah, I'm just... As always, when I talk about someone on my channel, like, yeah, a lot of times if people are, like, repeatedly saying crappy stuff, it is, you know, fun to roast them and all that, but I don't know, this is just more... I am honestly more so just pissed off at the idea that someone would put such a bigoted take in an astrology video. I don't fucking care who it was. Like, honestly, even if, like, I don't know, Blair White decided to get into astrology and make a video and decided to say a bunch of transmed shit, I'd definitely be calling that out. Because again, bigotry does not belong in astrology. It just doesn't. At all. So, yeah. That is, I guess, a TLDR of my thoughts so far on this. Obviously, there's still more video to go, but anyway. Kinda nuts. I get that people can, like, change their opinions or whatever, but I just think that if you're going to be talking about spirituality online, I don't give a fuck what you're talking about, you should be held to a higher standard of not being an ableist asshole. I don't know. Maybe that's asking too much of people. Actually going to extend that high standard, quote unquote. I feel like it's actually a low bar that's so low that the devil can use it as a limbo stick. But anyway, to anyone engaging in a spiritual practice, whether you're online, whether you're a leader or a follower, I don't know, follower doesn't sound right, participant maybe, whether you're online or in real life, that we just don't do the bigotry thing. It's not hard. Can we just not? It's funny, in a few different Discord groups I was in, I remember asking various people about how to look out for bigotry in astrology, because there's all sorts of info on how to look out for dog whistles in various pagan paths, and obviously I think most people are familiar with the evangelical Christian dog whistles. With astrology, it seems like you don't have to have a dog whistle, you just say the quiet part out loud. I don't know. And I think that a lot of people have another thing coming if they think that people are going to tolerate stuff like this anymore. You know, I think, and especially in America, people have been too tolerant to intolerance, and I think my astrological prediction, which may or may not be accurate, but just kind of based on everything else that's been going on, is that people are going to start fighting back more. People are going to start standing up for themselves. It's genuinely been really cool to watch how activism has kind of taken place, especially in the past couple months with Saturn moving into Aries. It'll be interesting to see how things shake out, but it seems like people are going to, in my opinion, start kind of being a bit more individualistic but collectivist at the same time. I don't know. I don't quite know how to put my thought into words there. That, like, I obviously I agree with what I said in the initial video of that. I do think, you know, any time something transits through Aries, you tend to, or fire signs in general, people tend to kind of become, like, society as a whole becomes more intense, because that's just kind of how the element of fire works. But I think with the energy of Saturn being about, like, and sorry if this is, like, basic knowledge or really boring for some people, but I also know that my audience isn't primarily people who are interested in astrology, so I feel like I gotta, like, explain things a bit more than I did in my initial video. Saturn as a planet, it's energy, and I use energy in, like, the figurative sense. Personally, I am kind of a bit of an animist. Like, I don't know if I think, you know, plants and things have spirits and stuff, so I guess why not space objects? But I'm not, I mean, I'm someone who believes that astrology is correlative, not causal, which, again, I'm like 99.9% sure that's something me and Steve Judge Astrology would agree on here. But I'm just saying, so when I say the energy of a thing, I'm not saying that thing dictates behavior. We all make our own individual and collective choices. free will is very much a thing, and I don't mean that in the way that Christians do, where they say you have free will, but also we're going to manipulate you. And not all Christians, I should clarify, evangelical Christians. Progressive Christians are fan-fantastic. Love y'all. But I think that with Saturn being related to boundaries, limitations, things like that, I've noticed that it seems like a lot of activists are starting to try to work more within the limitations of the system that is before us than trying to do big grand protests. I've not done either, I'll be honest. I have not been to a protest. I do kind of worry about, like, being legally blind and, like, that not being the safest thing to do to protest, but there are also other blind people who have gone to protests, and I just don't feel like I have the mobility skills personally that would be needed to do something like that. So, anyway, and I haven't really, I'm not very good at, like, subversive anything. I'm just not. Anytime I've tried, I tend to feel like I'm being slimy and manipulative and gross. But, I mean, unless, I guess, I mean, I am in the broom closet, so, I don't know, maybe that's subversive in some way. I still go to evangelical church, even though I'm not an evangelical, I don't know. But, anyway, so, Saturn is very much about, like, work and, like, focusing on things and responsibility and lessons and things like that. So, with that, mixed with the kind of fire energy and the fact that Aries is a cardinal sign, which cardinal signs are very leadership oriented, for better or for worse. You're going to get some kind of mixture of, like, working towards something. Whether that's working towards good or working towards fucking everyone over. People will be working towards something for sure. But yeah, I love astrology. It's so much fun. I love rambling about it. I actually am working on editing a vlog where I talk about how I want to do a review of an astrology book that I have. It's the one by Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan's Astrology, former astrologers. I think I'm pretty sure all three of them are no longer on this planet. I could be wrong. I don't remember. But, point being, I thought that'd be a fun read because it kind of fits with the channel as far as, like, roasting conservatives. Because trust me, there's plenty of conservative roasting to be done with that book. But also, there is plenty of, I feel like it'd be a good way to, like, still fit with the vibe of my channel, but still talk about astrology, which is something I really like. Kind of like how I'm trying to, like, incorporate Littlest Pet Shops, because I like Littlest Pet Shops a lot. But they don't super duper fit with this channel. I do have another channel where I've made Littlest Pet Shop videos, but that channel's kind of dead. I need to figure out how to revive it. But anyway, so I've just been trying to incorporate my interests more into things. I mean, obviously I do have an interest in commentary, but I also have an interest in a lot of other stuff as well, and I'm trying to make the best of the situation that I am in as far as the copyright strikes go. So, yeah. For their rights, for the rights of other humans around them. And if you are someone who doesn't believe that disabled people deserve to either make a living wage on a job that will accommodate them, or deserve to be paid a living wage because they can't work or society won't let them work, you're y'all are cooked if you actually don't believe
So
that shit.
I feel like the fact that any spiritual practice or religion or whatever can be used to be ableist, I feel like there's going to be anti-theists that are going to jump on that bandwagon and go, yeah, make all spirituality go bye-bye. But, like, those people would very much be missing the point that, like, science definitely has an ableist history as well. I mean, eugenics, anyone? Other than that, you know, there's other examples, but obviously eugenics is like the big one. So anyway, I just figured I'd go on that little side tangent because I want to make it really fucking clear that this is not a specific issue of any specific fucking person. I've been getting some false accusations that my channel just exists to harass people. It doesn't. It exists to have conversations about difficult shit. And yes, some of this is me being petty and pissed off that a topic I care a lot about and that I like a lot is being used against people like myself. Not me particularly, because I'm not on disability benefits, because fortunately my family, fortunately I have family. There are people who don't have any family. There are people whose family is not safe. Fortunately, I have family who's willing to let me live with them, and like I do pay rent and stuff, but it's nowhere near what I'd be paying if I lived by myself and stuff like that. So yeah, I've managed to so far avoid the having to be on any kind of disability stuff, which is a good thing because unfortunately, like I've mentioned in the past, the government's kind of got you by the balls if you're on any kind of disability benefits, which sucks. In the country where you're supposed to have economic freedom, if you're disabled and you don't have a choice but to be on disability, because like I said, society doesn't want you, because society sucks, you have to follow all these stupid rules that other people don't have to follow. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I've got beef with society, if you can't tell. I also know a lot of anarchists, so I know a lot of people that don't trust the government, and socialists and leftists, and honestly, even I've noticed a lot of liberals, like people that are like center left, aren't super trustworthy, especially of like the American government in the U.S., which is, you know, a good thing to not trust them. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I do think that there are a lot of people in the U.S. who have, and other places, who have like too much faith in the government's ability to take care of people or help people. Yes, I do think it is the government's role to do that, but I don't think that government and governments of other countries as well do a good job of taking care of their people. And we have this idea that if you are an able-bodied person and your taxes happen to go towards paying for a disabled person's income because either they're completely unable to work or, like I said, there's a lot of people that society just won't let them, they are, what's the word I'm looking for? The able-bodied people think, if I'm, and they do this with poor people as well, like classism definitely is also a part of this, because like you hear the same thing with like money benefits and health benefits and things for people who are below the poverty line. So it's not just disabled people. This is also a classism issue. But I've heard more stories about the like lived experiences of disabled people who, I mean, heck, depending on what disability you have, sometimes it's really hard to get disability money because some disabilities are treated as more valid than others, Or what some people end up in a situation where employment won't let you work. People won't let you work. But the disability office people say you are too able to work, like you're capable of working. Not understanding the fact that there's a lot of disabled people who, if they could work, they would. And obviously, well, maybe not obviously, depending on how new you are to my channel, I'm anti-capitalist. I do think work is important. I do kind of wish we had like a UBI thing where like everybody got a certain amount for like your basic needs, so nobody was stressed the fuck out. And then work was for everything else. And it's not about everyone being super rich and being billionaires or whatever. It's about, okay, everyone get their basic needs met, so we're not having a mental health crisis in this country. And then, you'd still need to work, because everyone wants, most people, I'd say, want more than just the basics. So you'd need to you'd still have to work, if that makes sense. So, yeah, and I don't expect everyone, we're kind of veering off into my specific politics here. This isn't something I expect everyone to agree with, how we solve the problem of inequality or whatever. I'm just rambling about my opinions on it, so that way y'all know where I stand on stuff, so that way, like, I think it helps add context to what I'm saying in the original video, because I think that, I don't know, I grew up evangelical Christian, and no one has been able to answer my question of, why is there no disabled people like me in the Bible? As in, why is there no disabled people who just exist, like all the other people? Why are they always in a position where God is healing them, or someone else is healing them, or making them non-disabled? Why are there no disabled people like me? I feel like historical context could be that, like, a lot of disabled people wouldn't have survived back then. Like, only reason I survived was because of modern science and technology and stuff. To be fair, that's also why I lost my eyesight, but then again, that's also why they were able to fix my eyesight. So, I don't know. Life is a double-edged sword. What can I tell ya? So, yeah, I just think, I don't know, there's just a lot I just have a lot of thoughts, and I don't know how organized they are. I'm kind of scared that they're not, because apparently my ADHD has not been as well managed as I thought, according to, me and my sister had a nice talk about it a while back. I didn't realize that I was being extremely impulsive when it came to, like, stuff around the house. Like, I'd forget to do stuff because I'd get distracted because something more interesting would come along. So, which I think some people in my life confuse that to be a self-discipline issue, and then they wonder why I don't get better. That's sarcasm. Unfortunately, when you have unique life experiences, the only one who really can help you is you, which I think is where a lot of my plurality comes in, is the only person I can talk to about some of this shit is myself, because yes, I can talk to a therapist about it and they can give me tips. I can talk to family about it and they can empathize. But the only person who understands my inner existence is myself in a lot of ways, because I have a lot of, and everyone has unique experiences, don't get me wrong, but as far as, like, getting through life, getting through whatever, I'm kind of on my own in some ways, and I feel like maybe a lot of disabled people can relate to this. We're on our own a lot. I think that's why I've seen misinformation going around that systems that are created from neurodiversity are created because of, like, intentionally creating headmates,
which isn't the case. Intentional creation of headmates kind of falls into a spiritual category. There's a lot of nuance to that category, because like with anything else, like don't take from close practices, things like that. There's a lot of nuance there that I don't have enough expertise to go into. So I'm just going to leave that there. We're not an intentionally created system. We're a neurogenic system, meaning due to various factors like neurodiversities and things, we exist to work together to get shit done that a neurotypical can do on their own, like without having to put extra thought into it. So, yeah, it's not a intentionally created thing. And I know I'm getting a bit off topic, but I feel like it's hard to talk about ableism not having a place in spirituality without bringing up my own disabilities. So sorry for the massive rants and side quests that I've been going on, but I don't know, they feel relevant to me. I don't know if they will to other people. Maybe I'm making this video way too long and everything is just gonna be insanely disorganized. I do know that me and my one friend, we were talking about, well, we do live streams together so often. We were talking about doing a stream and saying something about, we should just leave in all the side tangents for all the, it'll annoy the neurotypicals. And yeah, I think it will. I think side tangents might annoy some people because they're not used to it. So yeah, I don't know. Because I also do think there's a line between just ADHD, communicating differently than other people, and then there's just the line of not making any sense. I don't know. I hope I have not crossed the line into not making any sense, Phil, because that would suck. I don't want to not make sense. But anyway, back to our original video here. Disabled people in general have, just like other minority groups, been fighting for our rights for a long-ass time, longer than I've existed. Hell, the thing in America that allowed me to have equal access to education is only 10 years older than me. It's only 10 years older than me. If I was born 20 years ago, I would have been screwed. So, no, I do not take shit like this lightly, because words like this has impact on actual people. I also should clarify that when I make a video on someone or something, I don't make it with the intent that I hope, I do hope. I don't make it with the intent that I will convince that person that they're wrong. I make it with the hope that it will add to the conversation that someone has started by saying whatever it is they're saying. I feel like the reason that I am not a right-wing Christian right now is due to being exposed to opposite ways of thinking, just there being other people, and then also kind of having the desire to seek out opinions that are opposite to my own. I do think some people, myself included, when I was a teenager, would think that we needed to look for opposite opinions of everything and everyone, like we needed to tolerate bigoted opinions, and that's not true. And I've definitely heard people in my life say that it's important to listen to all sides. But I mean listening and tolerating aren't the same, by the way. I mean, they aren't. I don't know, sorry, ADHD tangent again, I guess. But yeah, I don't do it because I expect that the person that I'm making the video about is going to change their opinion. I do it because I think that content like that has helped make me a more well-rounded person. There being content that presses against normalized thoughts. So, being that evangelical Christianity in America, at least, is kind of the, like, mainstream religion that is running the country, essentially. I think, I don't know, I think that there is just, I don't know, there's just a lot, a lot going on in the world, a lot going on in my brain, a lot going on in my personal life, a lot going on in society. But I think content like this, in my experience, has helped me. So I want to make similar content that helps other people. I have another YouTube channel, I'm not going to plug it here, where I make, like, content that's, like, fun stuff. I mean, I do make some fun stuff on this channel just because I think everyone needs some brain bleach every so often. But the point is I only ever make content that I think that I would be interested in watching from, like, other people, or that I have an interest in, and if other people haven't, hang on a second. So yeah, I've basically just make content that I would want to watch, stuff that has helped me, stuff like that. I know that's kind of a selfish approach to content creation. But I also know that the thing I feel like I've learned the most from in my life is personal experiences. And I also grew up in evangelical Christianity, which, you know, personal testimony is considered very important. So I could be being a bit solipsistic or whatever. I'm not trying to be, but in my experience so far in my life, the greatest teacher is your own experiences and the things that you've gone through. And then also listening to others and the things that they've gone through is the second biggest way to learn stuff. So with that in mind, those are the two things I think of when I make a video. It's about other people's experiences and my own experiences and stuff like that. And I also do like making videos about stuff I'm interested in. Like I said, I'm interested in this topic. So yeah, that's essentially all there was to it. I know I said earlier in the video, I'll talk a lot about astrology. I will get there. I promise. The end of this video, I will continue to ramble on about my thoughts on the astrology of what's going on. Like, me saying that isn't me completely disagreeing with Steve Judd astrology. I don't disagree with his astrology, I disagree with his ableist opinions on young disabled people. But I just also really like talking about astrology, so towards the end of this video I do plan on doing that. But I just want to leave it till the end so that way all the people who aren't interested can watch most of the video and enjoy most of the video, and then the people that want to stick around for the astrology part of things can stick around for the astrology part of things. Now, mind you, this guy is from the UK, so I would prefer people that are from the UK to please give me your thoughts on this, because y'all are the main target of this shit. But I am only responding to this because I hear the same shit in the US all the fucking time. And I'm tired of it. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that stereotypical YouTuber stuff. Please and thank you. Time. And I'm tired of it. I don't know about y'all, but I'm fucking tired of it. I am tired of having to educate older generations that should know better. They've been on this planet longer than me. They should fucking know better. I feel like that's not an insane standard to have. I am tired of having to educate people who are older than me on shit that they should know. I don't have to educate. Which is just evidence that the power dynamic between older and younger people is bullshit. Also, apologies for my mom's cat is meowing in the background. He's very talkative sometimes and very loud. But he's cute. It's fine. I don't have to educate as many younger people on basic things like, just because I can't see well doesn't mean I can't do things. but I've had to educate a hell of a lot of older people on that issue. So yeah, to any person who wants to fucking run their mouth about disabled people, and also use spirituality as some kind of, like, get out of jail free code to do this. Yeah, fuck you. Bye.
So, yes, I think this is a good time to say the TLDR of this video is there is no place for bigotry, especially ableism. Well, any bigotry, really. But we're specifically talking about ableism right now. Especially because sometimes I feel like it gets overlooked in a lot of conversations around bigotry. That doesn't mean that all the other things that people are talking about and fighting for aren't worth fighting for, because they are. I'm just saying we should add disability to that list. Yeah, we gotta talk about disability stuff more, clearly, because a lot of people seem to, not know what the fuck they're talking about. But yeah, the TLDR of this video is there's no place for ableism in astrology.
Anyway, I don't have anything else to say. I'm tired of placating people, if you can't tell. Honestly, a lot of the content on this channel started because I am in a position where, in real life, I do have to do a lot of placating of people. But I don't have to worry about that online. Online, I can talk shit freely, and I plan on doing so, for as long as I have internet access.
Alright, now I would like to get into the astrology side of things. And so, for those who are going to tap out now, just thank you for watching. Etsy shop is in description as always. I will put, I do have an astrology Discord server for anyone who's interested. It's a bit dead right now, I'll be honest. And, I'm trying to revive it. But, anyway, obviously the people that are leaving aren't necessarily probably interested in the astrology server. But I do have an endogenic safe space server too that I will link in the description. And then I have I'll just probably link all my servers, all three. The third one is Node Realm of Chaos, and it is a very chaotic, inclusive node space. All of my servers, I will say, are very quiet. They're very small, which either is your cup of tea or it isn't. So if you don't really vibe with quiet, small space servers online on Discord, it might not be your thing. Just a heads up. But anyway, let's get into the astrology side of things. So, as you can see, we're on the website Cafe Astrology, and I prefer to use websites like this for looking up years of like longer transits, because at least the online ephemerals that I can find, or that I have found, you'd have to like page through a lot of pages, and when you're doing that on the internet, at least, it is harder to do. And as you can see, there is overlap in years of the Saturn and Pisces, and let me type in Saturn Aries transit. Saturn Aries transit. I do have to do a lot of relying on other people for sources at times, which sucks, but it is what it is. See, 2025 through 2028. So, yeah, there's overlap there, because Saturn moves really slowly. Alrighty, so now, I thought, this is a bit tangential, because, his original video was about, something, I think, it's like 12 or 13 days old, so it's about, like, at the time, I believe it was Saturn and
Uranus were sextiling each other. I know a lot of people are also paying attention to Saturn and Neptune are going to be conjunct each other a couple of times, like this year, next couple of years, stuff like that. And I'm getting distracted. I'm looking for May 2025. So, I thought it'd be maybe more. I've never looked at Cafe Astrology's feminist. I don't think. I usually use astroseek.com one. It's a lot of different online ones, of course. Astro.com is a website that a lot of people use. It's a good website, and I've used their table of houses before. So I'm trying to learn how to calculate a chart, like doing the math and all that. And I do use the table of houses. The one thing, I can't figure out if it's because I'm bad at math, or if it's because I'm doing something, like, I don't know what I'm teaching myself how to do this, or maybe I don't know what I'm doing, but hang on. What got me interested in that was, so my grandmother, who passed away when I was like 5, she was an astrologer, and my mom had her like astrology stuff, like my mom's chart, dad's chart, mine. Somehow she never ended up doing my sister's chart, so my sister had gotten hers off of like a website or something. Mine was done using whatever astrology online software was out at the time. Maybe not online, because back then everything was like, from what I remember of the 2000s, the early 2000s, everything was on, if you had software for something, it was on CD. Like, I remember in school when Zoom text, you put the CD in to download the software for Zoom text, and I don't remember if they had to keep the CD in, or if it was like you downloaded it from the CD to the computer and it stayed on the computer. But anyway, the nostalgia time for all those 2000s kids. So anyway, most of it is not handwritten, but there's a handwritten point written in my chart, and it was a vertex, and so then I got kind of hyperfixated on the vertex, and I realized it wasn't in my sister's and on her chart, because I saw it wasn't on there, and so I was like, I want to learn how to calculate that. So I did, and I can do that perfectly fine using the Astro.com table of houses, but I can't calculate a chart using that same thing. So I don't know what's wrong. I do think some of the issue is, and let's see if this has the same thing. Yeah. This ephemeris, other ephemerises that I don't use this one, because there's no lines between the things here, and for me that gets very visually confusing. The table of houses on Astro.com doesn't have that issue. It has lines in between each of these. So I'll show you why I use the Astro.com one, because it has those lines, and I'll show you what it looks like. Hang on, let me find it. So see, all that I don't know, that just helps me see this clearer. So but it has So whenever I've looked on forums or websites or articles or whatever for calculating charts, I always see that you're supposed to use the local mean time. Every ephemeris the only table of houses I've been able to find is the astro.com one. And I did find one on, I believe it was Internet Archive, but it was kind of blurry. And looked a lot more like the other ephemeris I showed you, where there was no lines in between the stuff like there is on this one. So anyway, I just the sidereal time hurts my brain. Local mean time, at least when I've looked at the math, makes more sense. So I don't know why I just cannot find if all of for how to do it says local mean time, and then all the resources are in sidereal time, I'm confused. But anyway, today's the 30th. And the fun thing about this is, so ephemeris in general, so this says it's 30th, but it is it's midnight GMT, which I'm in EST. So that would have been 7 p.m. yesterday, actually, would be, with this. So whenever I'm looking at this, for looking at it with someone, if I'm looking at this and I'm looking for where someone's planets line up, and I don't have a time, and it's just okay, I know their birthday because we're friends or whatever, and I want to know where their planets are, I look at this, and I look at the next day as well, to get some idea where stuff is. So, and my phone has been doing this stupid thing where there is this white and gray blob in the middle of my screen. Why? What is this shit? Get this thing off my screen. And it does this on, it's done this specifically on astroseek.com. I have this issue, which is annoying as fuck, because I want to be able to, look at this website, and I can't, because, anyway, so I'll have to do screenshots or something. Anyway. For those who don't know what the vertex is, it is a point in a chart. There's only 4 houses that you will potentially find this point in. The 8th house, the 7th house, the 6th house, or the 5th house. And basically how you calculate it is you look at the IC point in a chart, and then you use that as if it's the MC. The IC, if you're looking at a chart, is the point that's at the bottom. The MC is also called the midheaven. It's the point that's at the top. And so anyway, so you do that, and then so you go to to calculate it, you go to and look. So then you have to basically calculate an ascendant based off of that. So you use the IC as the MC, and then you need to know, it's you do the latitude minus 90. So if your latitude is 49, you subtract it from 90, you get, hang on, let me think about this, 49 minus, I just thought of a random number, and I'm regretting that choice. 42, I think, let's see, because 4 and 4 is 80, and then 41, there we go. And so then you'd go and look at ephemeris and table of houses. You look at where it
has the latitude, and then see look at where it has the ascendant, and then that ascendant is your vertex. So then I realized, I now know how to do chart calculate. I can calculate a chart on my own now, except I can't figure out how the damn time works for calculating the MC. So anyway, that is how I can calculate the vertex, but not a whole chart, because once you get the time involved is where I get lost and very screwed up. So that's what makes me wonder, is it a timing, is it a maths issue, or is it a time issue, or like a time, like the fact that sidereal time is fucking complicated compared to local mean time. And I don't know, maybe, okay, so the AI thing on Google seems to think that sidereal time and local mean time, depending on your search, sometimes it will tell you it's the same thing, sometimes it'll tell you a different thing. And that is a good example of why you don't believe the AI thingy and you go to other sources. But anyway, when I look up the math on other sources that aren't the Google AI, I just wanted to poke fun at the AI for a second. Because, AI is still at the baby stage, and, I do think AI one day will be useful once we have, the proper, energy and, for it not to take up, entire rooms and stuff. Once AI gets to the point that computers did in, the 90s, it'll be useful. Right now, it's a mess. So yeah, I would recommend not using AI, right now, till all the stuff's worked out of it, because, I don't remember who I was talking to. I said I kind of wished the AI had gone the route of, computers, did in, historically, how, in the 50s, they weren't, a mainstream thing, but they were a thing. And they didn't become, a mainstream thing till they were smaller and they didn't take up a ton of energy and things like that. I kind of wish AI had gone that route instead of being put out way too early. But anyway, that's my tech rant for today. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when I look at a chart, because first I will put up an image of the chart on its own, and then I will put up, because what I did was I took charts from astroseek.com, from the ephemeris, because they have an option where you click a thing and it shows you the chart, an astrology chart version of the same information that's in the ephemeris. I took those and I played around with the color filters, and the first one I got it to be blue, so at least it's not the white. White mode hurts my eyes a little bit if I look at it too long. I can look at it every so often, but if I look at white websites too long, my eyes hurt. Or I get floaters in my eyes. So I played around with the color filters so I could actually look at these. I also cropped the images so the chart would be bigger-ish, but I think that also made it slightly blurry. So, yeah, I just, I did a thing. Astrology, I like it a lot, but it is a very good reminder of how bad my, not bad my sense of time is, because, I don't know, I either have, okay, I feel, you know how, people can just kind of sense, it's afternoon, it's morning, it's whatever. I can do that for the most part, but then there's times I'm days or weeks, or I've never been months off, I don't think. But astrology, when I get really into it, I realize how off my that sense can be at times, because it makes me realize how incredibly earlier I was the Saturn Uranus sextile thing was old-ish, I was looking at the chart, and Uranus is at 27 degrees. It didn't look like it was retrograde. So, I'm actually thinking that the video that Steve Dread Astrology posted 13 days ago was actually talking about something that's going to happen later in the year, because because I know like Saturn's gonna move into Aries and then move backwards into Pisces again in, I think it's about a month or so. Again, I try to keep track of astrologically important events, and then I get all confused when those events are happening and when they have happened. Sometimes like my brain, I mean, I'm bad at numbers, okay? But I'm even like, okay, like I got so confused in October last year when there was going to be a couple of things going on astrologically. I got so confused on the dates. Because I had felt like I was like a few days off. Like, have you ever had a time where you feel like the entire day you feel like it's the wrong day of the week? It's like that, but like more than just one day. So, anyway. That's a whole other thing. Now I'm just rambling about how my mental health makes astrology difficult for me at times. My brain don't like to cooperate, guys. It's annoying. And as you can see, the second picture, when I did the color filtering and stuff, I accidentally made it green, and then I purposely tried to keep it green. Not sure why. The first picture, when I played around with the color settings, at first it was making it gray, and then when I turned down the warmth all the way to -100, it made it blue. This one, I purposely kept the warmth at like a negative something or other. It was definitely not 100 by any means, and I did that, and I kept it green, because when I did the vibrance filter thing, I played around with that, it made it green. So I wanted to keep it green. I know I'm getting distracted, because here we are talking about astrology, and I'm over here going, green. But like, obviously, it's green. Anyway. Okay, so, I am going to, show you a screen recording I took of me pinching those two images to show you how I, look at a chart. I could not screen record. I had an issue where I was talking and pinching the image and stuff and screen recording, and the screen record didn't save. So I was like, you know what? I'll use the voiceover on iMovie and then do the screen recording of the images, because I really want y'all to see how I do this, because of the fact that there are probably going to be people who are like, but you're visually impaired or blind, or how the hell do you do that? And it's like, you just have to make it bigger. Really just have to make it bigger. So there's that. I am going to actually Google when Saturn and I pronunciate the planet name differently. Sometimes I say Uranus, which everyone that's always a fun one, because you can make all sorts of jokes. Or Uranus. I say it either way. I know Uranus is also a pronunciation, but I don't tend to use that one as much. So, anyway, linguistics tangent aside, it's not really, it's barely linguistics, because it has to do with how you pronunciate things. But anyway, I know a little bit about a lot of stuff, kind of. So anyway, I guess let's get on with it, since I keep going on side tangents and stuff. like that.
More controls. When was Saturn conjunct Uranus? Button. August 1st, 2015. https://astrologyking.com transit Saturn transits. Cafe Astrology. Signs. Horoscopes. Love. In. 2025-2026. Saturn forms a sextile to Uranus in April 2025, then August 2025, and finally January 2026. April 2025, then August 2025, and finally January 2026.
So basically,
Voiceover off.
if we're talking about like on a practicality level, how I read a chart, it's a lot of pinching an image till it's nice and big. Unfortunately, that also sometimes means it's nice and blurry. So, unfortunately, that means I misread stuff pretty easily. The Venus and Mars symbols sometimes look similar when they're blurry. I mix up the Jupiter and Saturn symbols occasionally, but that's less because blurry and more because they're just kind of the inverse of each other. So, they're really similar. But anyway, I thought it would be fun to look at what's going on currently astrologically, since, as we saw from the other clip, the Saturn sextile Uranus is a whatchamacallit, I can't think of the word. It's not happening till August. So, we have in this chart, we have both of them actually. We have quite a few conjunctions. There is Saturn conjunct Neptune, which I don't remember if it was in Discord or Reddit, but I remember people being really excited about this one, and I'm excited about it too. I find it kind of cool that you essentially have the planet of, like, I don't know, I almost want to kind of call it the planet of organization. But, because, restrictions, which are kind of, a negative thing, but then you also have, like, boundaries, which can be a positive thing, as long as someone's not misusing them. Things like that. Responsibility, structure, all of that is kind of in the realm of organizing. Is, like, almost 0 degrees apart from Neptune, which is planet of, like, spirituality. It's also kind of not opposite Saturn, like, they're not opposite, they're not like polar opposites or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but Neptune is very kind of about things that are more abstract, and Saturn's about a lot of, like, practical things, and abstract things like spirituality, dreams, just, like, very abstract concepts. So, last few days, even previous to that, on our last few days, personally, I've been taking an interest in trying to combine those two ideas, so I find it kind of cool that, that correlates well with what's going on astrologically. I'm hoping that other people are as well, that, like, we can kind of reckon with the negative ways that spirituality is used and kind of restructure things so things are better for other people and not like weaponized. Like, spirituality is not weaponized against minority groups, and it is used to lift everyone up and not just some people over others. Ideally, that's what I would hope everyone would use this energy for, but I don't think I could, I don't know, collectively, I don't know, there's too many factors and too many choices to be made to really know whether that's where people are going to go with that. I also saw that the sun and not the sun, Mercury and Venus were also conjunct one another very closely, and that is a good thing as far as, I don't know, I've seen a lot of people online talking about I don't know, aesthetics. Seems like people are not in like a self-focused, like self-centered way. I don't know. Maybe it's my YouTube algorithm, but I've come across a lot of like aesthetic related stuff. And then of course I've had false accusations that I'm just using certain aesthetics or whatever, or certain things to my advantage, which I am not, but to each their own. I have not ever done any kind of chart interpretation in a video like format before, so I'm a little nervous. This is my first time doing this, so sorry if I'm extra all over the place. And so the I accidentally said Jupiter when I meant to say, the sun, I think, when I meant to say. Sun and Jupiter kind of near each other, but not really. Essentially, if a planet is conjunct to another planet, it has to be within like 0 to 10 degrees. Obviously, the farther apart, the weaker the connection, and that's with any aspect. So, yeah. I just was hyper-focusing on conjunctions. I know there's other aspects in that chart and in the other chart. Just gonna take a look at the two charts one more time, see if there's anything else I have to add. If not, then it'll be time to go. So I messed up. As you can probably see, if you have some idea how to read a chart, I completely misremembered. This is what makes it hard about having to rely on essentially semi-memorizing the chart to interpret it, because I can't look at the chart and talk at the same time, because maybe if I got my iPad out, I could do that with my chart on the iPad. You know what? I'm going to try that. But point is, I'm leaving that part in because it's a perfect example of how my disabilities kind of get in my way at times, because I have to try to remember a bunch of stuff at once. Because this will happen when I've done readings for people before, and I've had to rewrite entire sections because the interpretation was correct, but the planets involved weren't, and obviously once you get the correct planets involved, the interpretation makes more sense, because I'm over here thinking, oh, that interpretation seems a bit off with the planets involved, and then I look back at the chart and I'm like, that's why, because I misremembered where the planets were. I think, I don't know, that's something that happens to me a lot, and so I just kind of felt like, I'll document it. Like, I know I could edit that out, but I want to document it because what happens when when I've done readings for friends and stuff, or even just like random people, a lot of times, just like I'm in a lot of communities where like people will do kind of like free readings for each other. It's a good way to practice. I have to a lot of times, because when I'm typing on my phone, or really anything, so my visual field is so small because I can only see with one eye or the other at a time, and I don't have peripheral. Not that I don't know. Y'all with regular sight, you have to tell me, do you use peripheral when you look at like a screen? Is peripheral vision involved? So when I type,
all I can see is the keyboard. I can't even see the words I'm typing. I have to, like, look up separately when I type words, like, afterwards, you know what I mean? Like, all I can really look at is the keyboard. When I'm using, like, an actual keyboard, I can just, like, I can see the words like you would if you're, like, typing on a computer. Obviously, you don't have the keyboard to look at. You don't feel about trying to look at the keyboard. But, anyway, I can't, so I have to, like, go, okay, look at the picture that they posted either on Reddit or Discord. Go to either the replies in that app, or a lot of times I don't do, again, since I'm so prone to these mistakes at this point, I will go to, like, my notes app or something, and I'll type in the note, interpretation in the notes app, and then I'll go back to the chart, and then notes, you know what I mean, and I cross-reference, and I have to do that multiple times, because a lot of times I misread stuff, or I misremember stuff from going from point A to point B. So anyway, I just thought it might be useful to leave that in, because I'm tired of the double-edged sword of when you are disabled. If you don't act disabled enough online, people don't think you're real. If you act too disabled, people think you're unstable and not trust a single word you say. And I think all of that is crap. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people doing that to people. So I don't know. I just feel like having my fuck-ups not always edited out is a good thing. I could be wrong. Like, I hope I'm not confusing the hell out of anyone who's new to astrology. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this and not absolutely epically fail at it. Anyway. Alright, so after some technical difficulties where I accidentally airdropped the same picture twice. So you have the blue chart and the green chart. I accidentally airdropped the blue chart twice and then not the green one. So I have them both now. I deleted the duplicate and airdropped the other one. So we're gonna look at them. The blue one is, I do believe, the one for May 30th, which, if you're an EST, would have actually been May 29th at 7 o'clock. I was at work when that was, when that exact astrological pattern was happening. Let's see, why will it not let me pinch the image? Oh, it has some other random crap came up, that's why. Alright, so, the one for green one is, it says, April 31st, but that is because it's midnight GMT, which would make it 7 p.m. April 30th. So, I'm gonna take a look back at the blue one. Now that I have this on my iPad, it is tiny bit easier to see. I guess my headmate Adrian was right. It is a little easier to see. It's a little bigger, but I still don't mind looking at them on my phone. That doesn't bother me. But this is helpful for not having to like switch devices, or not devices, switch apps so much, and try to keep all that in my brain. So you got Neptune and Saturn are conjunct one another right now by 1 degree, because Saturn is at 0 degrees, Neptune is at 1 of Aries, and so there's 1 degree between them. And a lot of people, I'm pretty sure on Reddit was where I saw people talking about it a lot. They were kind of excited about it. I am too. Then we get to the parts where I misread earlier. We have Venus and Chiron are, let's see, Venus is at 23
degrees of Aries. Chiron is at 20... It's either 28 or 29. Or maybe that's a 25. No, that's a 28. I believe that's a 28. My eyesight strikes again. I believe that's a 28. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 5 degrees. That is definitely a conjunction. And I think my interpretation earlier about people kind of talking about some of the kind of harmful ways people use aesthetics online is relevant, or just kind of how... I know Venus isn't just about aesthetics. It's just the first thing I think of. Venus has to do with a lot of stuff. The best way to remember what a planet, like what its kind of thing is like looking at the signs that it is the most comfortable in. So for Venus, it's Taurus and Libra, and Venus has a lot to do with things like money, like personal possessions, things like that. And then relationships, love. Basically, Venus is feminine energy and Mars is masculine energy. And the reason I bring that up is, okay, something I have heard people say is that you can tell what someone's gender is in their chart. According to my grandmother, according to my mom and my great aunt both said that my grandmother said that in her experience, you could not tell someone's gender by their chart. And I have found that that's true. I got really annoyed at one point because I remember being really frustrated that Joan Quigley's book had such gendered advice. And then I was talking to someone on Discord, and in my Discord server, and they were pointing out that gender does factor into readings at least a bit, because it's gonna men and women and trans people, non-binary people all have like different experiences. And so yeah, I have changed my opinion on that a bit. But anyway, so my ramblings about aesthetics earlier, because Chiron is about kind of wounds, healing wounds, definitely emotional wounds. I'm not much into medical astrology, to be honest, or really like using astrology for psychology either. But yeah, physical wounds as well, I guess, technically. But there's just... I don't know. I find it interesting that we're talking a lot about women's issues currently. I mean, like, we've obviously needed to fight for women's issues, and we need to fight for women's issues for all women, not just cis women. But I will leave that there for now. Uranus is currently at 27 degrees of Taurus. Then you have Mercury's at 8 degrees of Gemini, so no, they would not be aspecting, I don't think. Yeah, no, they wouldn't. And then you have the Sun is at... Oh, these two, like, exactly conjunct each other. Mercury and the Sun. Alright, I guess at 7 p.m. last night, Mercury and the Sun were exact conjunct one another. They're both at 8 degrees. They're not both in the same minutes. Mercury's at 33. The Sun's at 51. So, but pretty much an exact exact, conjunction. And Mercury has to do a lot with, like, thinking. And the Sun obviously has to do with a lot of, like, kind of identity stuff. I feel like I'm being reductive, but I also am trying really hard not to, like, be too... I feel like I'm being reductive, but I also feel like I'm worried that if I go on too many tangents and things that people will get lost. I don't know. I don't want to lose my audience. I don't want y'all to get bored and give up on the video. Jupiter's hanging out by itself at 27. Jupiter's at 27 degrees of Gemini. There is a minor aspect where planets are, if they're exactly 30 degrees apart. There is a way to interpret that. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I have a book somewhere, but I don't know. I feel like being lazy and just going, it's not a major aspect. I know that's kind of lazy to do that. And then the moon's at 18 degrees of Cancer. And then obviously, moon. Out of all of the planets, the moon moves the fastest, as we'll see in the chart later. Mars is at 19 degrees of Leo, which is cool that's cool for personal birth chart reasons, but so anyway, got South Node and North Node are always across from each other. South Node is in Virgo? Yeah, I believe that's Virgo. This is still very blurry even on the iPad. If anything, I almost think it's blurrier for what it was in. Scorpio, what is in 1 degree? Oh, that's 7 degrees. Oh, Lilith, okay. Lilith is not actually a planet, it's a point. I didn't know that. There is apparently also an asteroid called Lilith, but as far as I'm aware, there's not a symbol for it. So if you see the Lilith symbol, it's talking about it's like a mathematical point that has to do something with the moon. I'll be honest, once you start talking about the math side of things, a lot of times I get lost. I'm not good at math. And there's Pluto. I just realized if any of these planets are retrograde, which I don't think any of them are. Looks like that might be a retrograde symbol near Pluto. Can't. This is too blurry. I must have overcropped it. I don't know. Anyway, Pluto's at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So a lot of conjunctions. Conjunctions are usually considered a neutral aspect. Like, squares and oppositions are usually considered challenging, difficult, and sextiles and triads are considered easy, positive. Yeah, that's the word. Aspects, and then conjunctions are generally considered neutral. I would argue that all aspects are neutral kind of on a spectrum, with conjunctions being right smack in the middle of that neutrality spectrum between positive and negative. With squares and oppositions, it kind of depends on what's involved, how you handle that to some extent. Same with like triads and triads and what in the heck? Sextiles. Positive, but in my experience, and also in a book I read that I don't remember the author for. If I should probably try to find it because it was a like audiobook thing I got off of Bookshare. It is called Astrology 101. Point out that
sextiles and triads can kind of have a complacency effect. And I've certainly seen that when I've looked at seeing how my planets line up with other people's that I know. If a relationship has a lot of triads and sextiles and even conjunctions, and there's not really any squares or oppositions, or there's only one, those relationships have a fuck ton of complacency on both sides. A willingness to not confront any kind of issues. Where relationships that I have where there's more squares and oppositions between me and the other person, the communication seems to be better because we're both, in that case, it's kind of the relationship either involve, you either work on it or the relationship falls apart. You don't have a choice. Where if things naturally are smooth and flow really nice, sometimes you can get away with stuff that in any other context would not really land well. Right. We looked at the blue chart, went on a few side tangents, and now we're going to look at the green chart. It is kind of helpful that I accidentally made them different colors, although to be perfectly honest with you, be prepared to see green charts from now on. Anyway, this video is becoming quite long, but that's okay. I'm having fun. I hope you are too. So, got this on my iPad. Hope this one's a little less blurry. Alright, so obviously the nodes haven't really moved too much, still in Pisces and Virgo. Saturn is still at 0 degrees of Aries. Neptune is still at 1 degrees of Aries, so they're still hanging out together. Chiron and Venus are still hanging out together. Venus is still at 23. Chiron is still at, I can't tell if that's a 5 or an 8. Still can't tell if that's a 5 or an 8. Uranus is at 26, 28, somewhere in there, Taurus. So, wait, it would be 28 because, Uranus, Uranus, I'm going to say it that way from now on, Uranus was at 27 degrees of Taurus, so, and it's not retrograde, I'm not seeing a little R next to the symbol, so therefore, it is an 8. Jeez. Sun and Mercury are now only 1 degree apart, with the sun being at 9. Oh no. Yeah, the sun being at 9 degrees of Gemini and Mercury being at 10. So they're now, the conjunction is slowly separating. And then Jupiter is still at 27 degrees of Gemini. And then the moon is in Leo, now at 2 degrees, which, that's cool for natal chart reasons. I'm not gonna say more than that. Mars is at 20, so, that'll be at 7 p.m. tonight, it'll be at 20 degrees. By 7 p.m. tonight, I mean EST. This is April 31st, midnight GMT. So, they're like 5 hours ahead. So I will be at work when all of this is happening. Lilith is still in Scorpio. Still at 7 degrees. For what it's worth, the nodes aren't planets either. I do think, yeah, that does look like Pluto is indeed retrograde. And it is still at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So this looks like not really any new aspects are happening. It's just a lot of kind of wrapping up the things that were started yesterday, as kind of how I would see it. Doesn't seem like anything new is really happening. Which, it's funny, astrology, sometimes the day-to-day changes are like really tiny and not that big of a deal, and other times they really, really are like, crazy. That's why, like, people, like, the exact time of birth is really important, if possible, because of the fact that, what's the word I'm looking for? Depending on, like, your birth time and stuff, sometimes within a minute, an hour, whatever, a big change can happen. Other times, it's, like, small changes. And I will say, I heard once at an astrology retreat that I went to, that was local to me, that an inaccurate chart of someone can still tell you stuff about them. And I do agree with that. Obviously, the more accurate, the more it makes sense. But, yeah, I do definitely agree with that. So yeah, hopefully this has been interesting. This is my first time ever making an astrology-related video on this on this channel. But the first video I ever made on this channel was saying what's a Christo-pagan, so it's not out of the realm of things I do, I guess, but still, constructive feedback is always helpful, please and thank you. Anyway. So, thank you for watching. Etsy shop's in description as always. I will figure out how to do the timestamp thing so y'all can, like, watch the videos at the timestamps that the things happen, viewers. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. Have a nice day.